Welcome to Made People Look Like Me podcast, a safe space for Black and Brown people to take a deeper look into their history and future to come through the lens of the present. Here in this made space, we encourage all to respect a variety of perspective. In no way is this to persuade you, nor tell you our thoughts and opinions are right or wrong, but for you to interpret Black and Brown lives in light and celebrate those making a definite effect in finding me. In this episode, we uncover what it means to own your space with the amazing Nicole La Bailarina. On top of being many things, I know her as this incredible Black salsa dance queen that makes you move your ass, literally. Hello, everyone. Welcome to Made People Look Like Me, and we are here with the beautiful and infamous Miss Nicole La Bailarina.
Hello. My name is Nicole Hima, but I go by Nicole La Bailarina. I own a Hima dance company. I'm based out of Nashville, Tennessee. I've been dancing salsa since 2012, and I have a minor in dance from Middle Tennessee State University. And that kind of like started my passion for dance. I had an injury, and then I started dancing salsa in 2012, and I have not looked back since. And since then, I've managed a couple of dance studios. I've managed a dance company. And my love is in building communities and dancing salsa and teaching people about their bodies and how that ties into their minds. So that is what I do. That is in a nutshell. That's everything that I do and everything that I love.
And you said it all in like one breath, but really like it's so much deeper than that.
That's the surface level. I could talk all day, but yes, that is what I do. I teach salsa dancing.
So in your words, what is your definition of owning your space?
Just claiming your natural right to exist. So I run into this a lot of the times, especially, so going back to like, what do I do? My background is in dance, but a lot of my focus was on like somatic therapies and body-mind connection and stuff like that. So I really truly believe that the connection in your body and your spirit are one and the same. And so how your spirit or your mind is working shows up in your body. And so a lot of the times when I would see people dance, it's like they're hiding themselves. And so I would just be like, what are you hiding from? You're here on the dance floor. Everybody's here. We all have our space to exist in my way. So just projecting that energy, claiming your space and letting people know that you own the space that you're in, it keeps you safe. Because I think what I view from people when they shrink, it seems that they think by shrinking that keeps them safe, but really projecting your energy, I think, is what keeps you safe. So for me, owning your space is just projecting your energy and being proud and claiming that your right to exist on earth, because God didn't put you here to shrink, or spirit or the universe, whatever you want to call it. You're not here to be hiding.
I'm going to grab my chest. I'm going to let my light shine, because Lord knows.
You are a star, girl. Shine bright. Everybody shine bright. Claim your right to shine.
Oh my goodness. I remember when I first heard you say that, and that was like the changing point for me, because I had a breakdown that day, and I was like, what in the world is going on? Like, why am I breaking down? But like, when you put the words out there like that about just, owning your space and actually putting that energy out there and claiming my space, I could tell from that moment up until like present day how like I have slowly made an effort to actually own my space and own the space around me. And in reality, like in my everyday life, and I thought about how I would like actually walk with my arms like tucked tight. And on the contrary, let it be on another note, and someone like up in my space and it's on a whole nother level, I would be like, hold on, you invade my space, you're in my bubble. But I never did that like in my everyday life. And I'm still a work in progress, of course. That's why I'm glad to have you here to have this conversation, because you definitely bring a lot of light to what it means to own your space. So going forward from that, what would you say is another perspective or is another way that someone may look at it whenever they may be out of their comfort zone as far as owning their space?
It's funny, going back one more time, when you said when somebody comes in your space that you were then you could exert your energy and be like, you're in my space. But I think it's so important to shine your light before that, so you never have to tell anybody to get out of your space, right? They know from jump when they look at you. It's like, oh, that's her space, and I can't even, you know how kids try to push boundaries? It's like they can't even just try to like get in your space and disrespect you, because you've already set the standard that that's not how that works. So then going to your question about different perspectives of owning your space and out of your comfort zone, it's still your space. It doesn't matter. So like comfort zones are a really good place to go and die. Like you're never going to test. And so in the concept of testing your boundaries, you're never going to test your boundaries if you don't get outside of your comfort zone, but you have to own your space wherever you go. Like you shine no matter where you go. So even if you're out of your comfort zone or you're in some place where you don't feel like you can really let your light shine, then maybe you don't really need to be there. But if you're going to be there, let your light shine. You're going to change. You were put in that space to change something. So it's never like you should hide who you are just because you feel like this is not where you belong, or that you're not really, or maybe even in dance, right? You showed up, so you belong there. I'm a 100% believer that wherever the hell you show up is where the fuck you belong, and you're allowed to be whoever you are when you get in that space. If people are giving off an energy that you don't belong there, that belongs to them. That's their problem, because you were made in your divine right to show up and exist in all spaces that you travel to. You have the right to exist just by being on this planet. So I think of my spirit as light. And so if I have to dim my light, you're asking me to kill myself a little bit. Like we all have our allotted amount, and there's there's a Starbucks by my house, and they give out this little medallion. Somebody that works there makes these things all the time, and I've had it for like a year, and it said heartbeat 8 feet, because your electromagnetic field in your body goes 8 feet past your body. And so I have every right to take up all 8 feet of that. And if you want to make me feel like my 8 feet ain't welcome, that's on you, because I'm going to still exist, because that's how that's how all of our humanity works. Anyway, I could talk about that all day.
What would you say is a good example of someone hiding themselves and not recognize that they're hiding themselves?
It happens so often. It's almost like easier to think of an example when people aren't doing that. But it's, for me as a dance instructor, it's all in body, it's all in posture. You can see when somebody it's just physical. Like if you see somebody just crouching and like they have their arms crossed and they're just like, their energy is like down and inward, like they're hiding in every space that they go to, or like somebody who won't speak up for themselves if somebody's disrespecting them or saying something out of the way. And they don't have to be disrespectful about it. Like you don't have to be like, what the fuck did you just say to me? But just letting people know that it's not okay. It's just so apparent when I'm walking around, even in a grocery store. You can tell who just doesn't own their space. Like they want to hide, like they hide when you walk by, especially if you're a person that does own your space, you know, even in a compassionate space, even in a loving space, if you own your space, it's like they kind of move out of your way just because they know, like they just feel like they shouldn't also coexist in that space. And that's why I love somatics and pairing it with dance teaching, because I can show people, if I can get you to exist in this space and be proud and you live in your body and own your space, it's going to, by reverse osmosis or whatever scientific term it actually is going to show up in your life, and you're going to start claiming your space and you're going to start living more fully because you've created that in another environment. It's either they grew up seeing somebody like that, because I've seen that, like somebody's parents were really passive or really like, keep your head down, stay out of the way, whatever. And so that comes across in how they communicate with their child. And children are sponges. They're just like, imitating their environment. How else are they supposed to be? Or which what I've experienced through a lot of like light workers and stuff like that is that there was some point in your childhood, again, being a child or a teenage, whatever, that you let your light shine bright and somebody was like, nope, right? Whether it was intentional or it made you feel like, oh my God, I can't be who I am or whatever, they put the kibosh on it. Like you're not, you remember that. And then it shows up in cycles in your life. Whenever you're confronted with being great, you self-sabotage. You shrink yourself down because you don't feel like somewhere you've experienced trying to be great and it got shut down. And so then you're afraid to do it again because you don't, that feeling that you experienced when you were shut down, you don't want to relive that. And so then you keep going into this perpetual cycle where you protect yourself from letting that happen. And so a lot of people hide as a protective mechanism, which is completely okay. But I just wish when I'm teaching people in dance, like getting them out of that shell and seeing how fulfilling life can be on the other side of that. And because you do it in a safe space, right? So then you can kind of reverse that and then they can really live and live fully. It
is very, very true. I have no other words to say, but that is so true. It's just a practice. It's something that you really have to practice doing daily, honestly.
Yeah.
And that's just from my experience, especially after I kind of came across it and I crossed paths with you. It's one of those things like, oh, okay, this is something that you actually have to put an effort toward, just like, putting effort towards just being happy. Like, I'm going to choose to be happy today. So definitely making a choice to own your space is something that you have to do every day. And it has days and waivers and stuff like that. But
and it's because when we're younger, because we have no reference, we do live out, like kids take up so much space. You know what I mean? Like your face is like, I know. No, but kids are so unapologetically present and so unapologetically space taking and so unapologetic, but you train them to stop doing that. And so then because we learn by repetition, and so much repetition puts you into a space where you no longer claim your space. It does take practice to undo that. Like there's all these gurus and stuff are like, just let go. And it's like, one, if you don't know you're holding on to something, it's impossible to let go. And two, it's like, how do you do that? And it's hard at first. But as you go on in that path, I think you realize that how can I answer this? So just one, I would say just be compassionate in general. It doesn't matter what the hell you're doing. But two, knowing that whatever your 8 feet or your space is, that belongs to you, and that you can still love people while you claim your space. Because sometimes it's rough, because sometimes you have to like reclaim your space from people, take your space back from people who've like invaded your space. And like you can just very gently just be like, okay, so once you got to live here, but now I'm evicting you. It's like an earthquake. That's the only way I can think of it. It's like every other natural disaster in the world, like something massive comes through and wipes everything out, and then you have to kind of rebuild around it. And lots of people are affected. And so you just have to kind of rebalance where you want those people to be. Because sometimes those people were near and dear to your heart, but they were used to you not owning your space. And so then when you start to grow and expand, it's like they start getting an attitude. And so you can just be like, look, I love you, but I have to do this for me. This is part of me taking back my light. And so either you're with me or you ain't. And sometimes you're going to lose relationships over that. But those people weren't meant to be there. I mean, they were for the time that they were supposed to be there. They might have overstayed their welcome. Just think of it like you have some land and you were renting apartments, and then it's time to like clean out those apartments. Either people get to stay because they're going to go with the new lease, or they're not.
Listen,
you can be kind to those people on eviction.
it's, it's like every time you say something, it takes you to like a whole nother place. Cause like thinking of it in that manner, it makes so much more sense because like you said, you know, once you're in it, you're in it. And listen, this is my sorry for the people who I was rough with when I was evicting them from my space. Because like you said, you know, it is a hard process. And it's one of those things where you're like, just go. And like, you know, just to be able to find a way to do that in a safe and a healthy way is a really good thing. And that was a really good way that you expressed that for them to learn how to say certain things in a healthy way, which takes me to my next point.
I want to interject real quick. So the people, I think at the beginning, everybody's journey, once they like land in this new apartment complex of life, you're gonna be rough with some people at first. Everybody's gonna do it. But I think the key to that is knowing that everybody, the way that spirit speaks through all of us and the way we get things accomplished is through relationship. And so the way that you treated those people, sometimes that was their message from God, was how you interacted with them at the beginning. Like, because you didn't do it with everybody, there were only certain people you got rough with, because maybe those were the people who were like all up in your space, like they were 1 centimeter from your face, and you needed to let them know you got to go. Like if they're brushing up against you that hard, and that's something that was part of their journey for later on, is that you did react that way. Nothing is by accident. And if you felt like it was so horrible, it really probably wasn't. And if they come back around, then they were meant to be in your space. If they weren't, then it was because it was time for them to go. They needed to hear it very clearly. Because some people you can't be nice about it with, because they're holding on for dear life. They got their fingernails in you. And so for you to like grow, sometimes you got to get a little crooked with them. Okay, let me say it this way. People who own their light and have fully come into like that process of their light and have like cleared out some of those negative people are usually not going to be assholes. Not all the time. Like they're not going to always be like, you need to stay the fuck out of my way. Like da 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 da. If somebody who owns their space does that, it's because they know that you're toxic coming into their space. People who act like assholes all the time have never claimed their space. They're fighting for something they don't own. If somebody's being an asshole, it's because they're fighting to make you believe that they're bigger than they are. And because you're coming into their space in a way where you could dismantle every lie that they've created for themselves. So I don't think that anybody who truly has stepped into their light and stepped into their power is going to be disrespectful to other people, because I feel compassion for those who have not stepped into their space. And so when I encounter somebody who's truly an asshole, I feel sad for them, because I'm like, you're fighting so hard to get me to believe something that isn't true. Like I don't want to go into race, but I want to say, like, you know how people are like, I wish I had the strength of a mediocre white man. Have you ever heard somebody say that?
Have not heard anyone say that, and I don't know if I want to hear somebody say that.
Right, because you can be, especially in the United States, you can be a mediocre white man specifically, and still like climb or what was it? It wasn't the strength. It was like, I wish I had the mindset of a mediocre white man, like thinking that you can get more than you deserve because you haven't, even if you haven't worked for it, that you just you like have it by your birthright, right? And so I feel like those type of people get aggressive because they didn't actually work for their space. They haven't actually they haven't unearthed the things in them to like let their light shine. And so when you come across them, and like, even if you're being peaceful and you're in their space and you're like, they feel offended because it's like, you have the power to dismantle the lie that they've surrounded themselves with. That's what I think of as people who are assholes when you come across them, because they just haven't really stepped into their truth. Because when you do, you really don't have any space. You really don't have time for that. Like, I don't have energy to be an asshole to you. If I am, it's because I'm like vibrating at some low frequency that day, or because my period's about to start. Right. Like, get the fuck away from me right now. I don't have time for you. Like, and then I can apologize later because I'm like, I wasn't myself.
I'm like starting to pick up on my rhythm. I get like 2 days in when I know my cycle's about to come. I'm like, okay, I was a little hateful back then. Yeah, my cycle probably gonna come on. And I just tell people I may not be as nice because my cycle's probably about to come on.
Right. And right? So when people are if it's a healthy boundary when you own your space, because you're just owning your space, like you're not, your space is your own. It's not something you have to fight for. I feel like people who feel like they have to fight to protect their space don't really know what owning their space is about. Because it's like real estate. Like I have to steal these things. I have to steal from you to own, for my space to exist. Like they have to steal from other people to create their space. My space is just my space by me existing. I don't have to prove anything to you. I feel like those people feel like they have something to prove. But like I said at the beginning, you can kind of come off aggressive when you're like discovering you own your space, but it's only towards those people who have their nails in you. And you have to like, you have to be like, back up off me. Like, this is mine. This is who I am. But I don't think that is being a jerk. It might come off to those people that way at first, but once you start like getting your footing, you kind of are just more compassionate by nature. Just because I don't have to worry about you. I'm over here living my life. You're over there living your life. We can choose to coexist. If you don't want to, have fun. But I'm not gonna be like an asshole about it.
Hold on, we gotta give 3 claps for that. And I'm gonna say that again for the people in the back. We can own our space over here. And you can do what you want to do over there. We do not have to coexist together. No. That is completely okay. Just in case people in the back missed that message, because
there was a quote. I think I saw a quote. I can't remember what it said. It's like, it's not that I don't want to see you eat. I just don't want you at my table. We don't have to break bread together. It's not that I want to see you starve. You just don't have to be at my table. Like, eat what you need to over there. You can exist over there. I can see you. I'm rooting for you, but I don't have to be a part of your life because we just don't work well together, or we're not both in a space where we can co-mingle our energy. And that's okay. There's 7 billion people on this planet. Everybody ain't gonna get along.
That right there is like the one thing I think once people start figuring out that it's okay for me not to get along with everybody, and it's okay for me to find my tribe and just rock with that and rock with my tribe, that's cool. And it doesn't mean that like we're not open to other people and other tribes or things like that, but just if we're just not on the same frequency, we're not on the same frequency. Like, the new thing for me is learning where am I at on the frequency level and the people that I'm around, and how is it kind of connecting or not, or disconnecting with theirs, should I really say, because.
And you know where we learn that from school, because you don't get a tribe outside of the one that exists in your building. From elementary school, middle school, high school, like you don't really get to pick your tribe. It's just, you do, but like really what the fuck are we really talking about when we're in high school? Like, you're just trying to survive. And that group is only the subset of people who happen to live in the area around you. So they all get sent to this school, but you guys might not actually, your energies might not match. And so we get used to being stuffed into spaces with people who we really don't truly connect with. And for people, a lot of people, college is where they start to find that. But then even outside of that, as an adult, really getting to pick your friends and pick your tribe and pick your group, that's where I feel like it's not until late 20s, early 30s that people even start to really come into their own, because you now get to select the group that is around you, and like unlearning that you have to be around certain people even if you don't like everything about them. Because that's what high school is like. It's just like, there were 200 people in my class, in my senior class. Man. And I got along with like, I'm still best friends with just one. you know? So that you're limited to being able to get a full world view when you're younger. And so then you carry that with you. You're just like, oh, the people that I know, those are going to be my friends. No, you get to choose now. You get to like stop and be like, do I actually like you? No, you can go eat over there, but you can be at my table because I like you. And so it's just like it's a process to unlearn that behavior, because that's what you're stuffed into for 12 years of your life.
Listen, you put it that way, it's very true, and it makes me look at like my siblings and my kids as well, because, and I can see how like they are kind of forced into a box of feeling like they're friends, they have to be friends with certain people. And me and my daughter, we've had several conversations, because she is in school, where she feels like she has to hang with certain people just because. I try to like really teach her that you don't have to just be friends with certain people if they don't make you feel comfortable, right, or if they make you feel uncomfortable. A lot of things I think that really drives me is helping teach the kids, especially because I know what that transition was for me. And it's like, dang, we gotta wait another 5-6 years after college to finally come into this person.
Yeah.
Like, no, I don't want my kids having to be 30 before they be like, oh, I can pick and choose my friends. I don't have to just like hold hands with the people that I grew up with. Like, no, you don't. so yeah. Rock on to your tribe. Find your tribe of people, y'all.
Find your community. And it doesn't even have to be big. Because when you're younger, you want as many friends as possible, right? And then when you get older, I mean, you see all this stuff that adults say, like you said, your mom, like adults tell you all this stuff and you're like, no, that's not how it's going to work. But it is. I mean, just listen to them. Like, you're not going to have a million friends like you think that you need to be friends with everybody in high school, get everybody to like you. Fuck them, man. I only need one person really to understand me. And that's myself. And if I share that with other people, then so be it. But I don't need to spread my energy to everybody and like have everybody like me. Like, my space is my own for me to exist. I have a journey that I'm on this planet. And yes, I learned through relationship, but I don't have to have everybody at my table. I'm fine at my table with my tea and my book. Bye. Because it's really easy, like, to pick up on somebody's energy after they start talking and you're just like, you just feel it. Like, it's funny because, like I said, the body speaks louder than your mouth. You just know when you click with somebody. Like, the older you get, you just know. It's just like, you need 5 seconds, if that.
Very true. Very true. Like, man, it's just, and it's funny, like, when you start realizing it.
Right. Because I can still maybe learn something from you, but I just know that I'm not going to give you that much energy to where you feel like you should just cohabitate at my table. Like, hang out in my space. I can respect you. Like you said, how can you be compassionate? I can respect you. I can hear you, but I know that you're not going to be somebody that I want to be around me forever. Like, you can learn so much from people who you're not going to share energy with or have in your space for long periods of time or at all, right? Like, especially with the internet, like, you can get so much information from people that you would never care to be around. And Dave Chappelle said he was talking about the feminist movement, but he said, you're going to have imperfect allies. And yeah, you're going to get information from imperfect people. You're going to get information from, you're going to learn from, you're going to be around people that are not necessarily what you view as perfect for your energy or a perfect match, but you can still learn from those people. It's just that when they're done, they need to take all their shit and go.
Thank you for joining us on Maybe People Look Like Me, Part 1 of Owning Your Space.